On today's episode of the Baseline Scoop, Justin and I pivot a bit away from Sixers basketball and address something that affects the NBA and society at large. The recent ruling in the case of Phoenix Suns majority owner Robert Sarver. We take a look at what exactly occurred, what exactly his punishment will be. Is it too light? Is it too heavy a sentence? And what this means for the league going forward. So, it's a little bit different than what we've done before, but this is something that we truly feel is important to address. And hopefully people learn a lot, and we'll see how it goes.
It's 89-84. Sixers, and they get inside. Unbelievable. Julius Erving put it hanging underneath. He was trapped. Over the baseline right side. Julius in the air, palming over the right hand. Floating, reaching, and spinning it in. Watch this fantastic move by the Doctor.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Baseline Scoop. I'm your host, Zach Chavalella, here as always with Justin Crosby. Justin, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Good to chat again.
Good, yeah, absolutely. Happy to have the chance. Wish we were talking about some regular season action, some moves being made with the Sixers, but we got a different topic of discussion today. It's something that has really been at the forefront of NBA news today, and that is, of course, the suspension of Phoenix Suns majority owner Robert Sarver. So, before we dive into really anything, let's go into the original news. I believe first shared by Baxter Holmes, and Baxter Holmes is an NBA writer for ESPN, for those unfamiliar. But so Baxter broke the news that Robert Sarver had been suspended for 1 year from both the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury, who he is the owner of both of those teams. He's been fined $10 million, which sounds like a lot. And then you check his net worth, and he must complete a training program focused on respect and appropriate conduct in the NBA workplace. So before we even analyze that, like the punishment itself, because the punishment, kind of means nothing. You don't really know if it's appropriate or not until you know what he actually did, what was found in this. This was an outside investigation, an independent investigation. So, Baxter kind of goes into a lot of depth. He did a really great job covering this and breaking it down for everyone here. So, Justin, why don't you take slide number 1 here for us, and we'll kind of go on from there.
All right. So first, I would like to say that although this independent investigation just came out today, as far as the results and everything and the findings, that this has been rumored for a while.
Yes, that's important.
This has been brought up for a while. I think this is at least 2-3 years old, like original kind of rumblings of Robert Sarver and how he was misogynistic or has racist. I'm not even going to just let him off the hook and say racist remarks, but racist, like straight out. And so that's the first. So this is a rumbling. So I think probably a lot of complaints, and finally the NBA had to step in because there were too many complaints, in my opinion, that probably led to this. So first, I said among the key findings, Mr. Sarver, on at least 5 occasions during his tenure with the Suns Mercury organization, repeated the N-word when recounting the statements of others. First thing off the rip of that, I'm sure is more than 5 times.
Yeah.
Specifically going back to an interview when some of this originally came out, I want to say like early this year or maybe last year, about Robert Sarver. I think it was last year. Earl Watson, who used to be the coach of the Phoenix Suns, he candidly put his name on stuff about how Robert Sarver acted. And literally in that one example, he said it more than 5 times. So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, it says that he engaged in instances of inequitable conduct towards female employees, made sex-related comments, In the workplace, made inappropriate comments about physical appearance of females, employees, and other women, and on several occasions involved in inappropriate physical conduct towards male employees. Again, another thing. He clearly felt like because he was owner that he could say and do what he want.
Yeah.
Clearly. Like that's where it comes down to. And again, we talked about like, I guess some anonymous sources have mentioned things about him in the past, and as far as him being, being misogynistic against women.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is not, and I'm not trying to bring it to somewhere, but this has kind of been a thing in the NBA recently. I know this happened with the Mavericks recently too, with some inappropriate, content or conduct against women. And then Mr. Sarver engaged in demanding and harsh treatment of employees who yell and curse at him. Again, not surprising. All this leads up to just one, how terrible of a human being he is. Period. Like, and that leads to me, like, it feels like to me that
there's not like ignorance behind it. Like there's not like there's intent, like that. And I think that's, not what separates it, because there's like a few different things for what separates this from basically being defensible or indefensible. But just the intent with which all of these things occurred and especially you look at the Watson thing, which I think it was November last year, and you look at the conversation that he breaks down, the whole thing talking about Sarver was talking about Draymond Green and things he would say up and down the court and whatnot. And then he says it, and then Earl Walton's like, you can't say that. Like, and so even if you wanted to play the ignorant angle, Sarver then immediately replies, according to Watson, with the word once again.
Yep.
So you can say it's ignorant from the standpoint that any human being who acts so callously towards other human beings is ignorant, but I would categorize that more so under intent and even some cases, malice in some of these ways.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of two things. One, well, a couple comments. One, I'm sure, and we'll get into the Clippers and stuff like that, but I'm sure the players knew about this, right? So like, to play for an owner like that is kind of weird to me. I don't know. And this is like twice with Chris Paul too. Very weird to me. I don't know. It just seems weird. Two, like, it also makes me really feel some type of way about the DeAndre Ayton situation too, because it makes it seem like, to me, it's like in his head, he's thinking like, oh, he's just a replaceable black player. Like, that's just the way I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
Like straight like that. Like, I'm just going to find me another one and it's going to do what you were able to do. And I'm not going to pay you. That's how I feel when like you see these findings and stuff come out. And that's just like crazy to me. I don't know. It's just like, it's crazy, and how players and I guess at the end of the day, it's millions of dollars, and they may not have to deal with him specifically all the time. Mainly dealing with the front office probably and the coaches. That's it. But like, I mean, who you play for and the guys around. Like, he shouldn't be rewarded by having star players and XYZ sign with him and have a have a winning team and more revenue. And like, there was another thing about him, even in the past, like, just like kind of just trying to flex his muscle, like he could do whatever he want. Like, I remember there was a thing where he was trying to move the arena and, people didn't like it or trying to leave. And they said he had some disparaging remarks about the community in Arizona, period.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, I can't believe, like, when I look at this, it took somebody coming on. It took somebody recording Donald Sterling, like, to hear on tape, for him. But it's just like, it seems like to me it's enough to make him sell the team. Specifically, if you're the NBA, and
it should be. It shouldn't be up to him, frankly.
Yeah, right. And if you're the NBA, you stand on equality.
Yeah.
You stand on, just equality. We're talking about race, ethnicity,
Hell, they
gender.
just retired Bill Russell's number across the entire league for his work in
Yes.
race relations and in the community. Like
Like you can't
you
have
can't
it this
pretend it's
way.
important to you
Right.
and then do something like this, like a month later. Like that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Zach, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. So that's I won't say that's what Sarver did because honestly, first of all, it's phrased as among key findings. The verbiage here just really kind of screams that there was more.
Hmm.
Among key findings, at least 5 occasions. There's more to this that for one reason or another is just not being shared.
Hmm.
I don't really need any more to be shared because this is damning enough, if you ask me. But
Hmm.
when you look at what Sarver did, then as I mentioned comes the the NBA's response. The punishment for for everything that was found in this independent investigation. So again, suspended for 1 year from the Suns and Mercury organization, which is ludicrously light. But during that time, he will not be present at any facility. That's any NBA or WNBA. So that's not just he's banned from the Phoenix stadiums or stuff like that, but he can't show up in LA and watch the Lakers play against the
Right.
Suns or anything like that. So that's no office, arena, practice facility. He cannot attend or participate in any NBA or WNBA event, activity, including games, practices, or business partner activity. Uh, he cannot represent the Suns or Mercury in any private capacity. That's something where I wonder how hard they're going to monitor that.
Exactly. That's what I was going to think. Like, because it.
Because if they're in the playoffs and he posts a tweet with and I don't. To be honest with you, I don't get, especially after this, I don't give two craps about Robert Sarver. So, let's say he posted a tweet of him in a Suns hat, does that further this case? Does any show of support count if he's under that mantle? What does that even look like? So, but and anyway, so he won't have any involvement with the business or basketball operations of the Suns or Mercury. He won't have any involvement in the business, governance, or activities of either the NBA or WNBA. And that includes board meetings. So that's something that is, I when I say major, I don't want to imply that it's, good for the NBA for doing that, because frankly, no, they just didn't do enough in this case. And I think that's pretty clear. But what I mean is, it is nice to know that he will have no say in nothing until hopefully he's no longer even an owner in the NBA, which is hopefully by the time that this 1 year ban is over, or suspension is over.
But don't you think it's hard to believe that he won't have some type of delegate that's basically his puppet?
Oh, it
Like,
absolutely is going to have several people on the inside. Yeah.
like
Yeah, well, that's the part of that's part of what makes this entire thing a whole lot of nonsense. Is how do you as the NBA actually police this? It.
and if you find out that he attended a practice or is doing some business behind the scene, what is that
Yeah,
punishment then? Right?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, what? Yeah, tack on a second year, another month. What do you even do?
exactly. I think at that point you got to punish him and the team. I don't know
Yeah,
what that
I mean, for
is.
any infraction, yeah, you have to, and it kind of sucks to say that because it's all stemming from him, but he's the owner of the team, so those are the consequences. Um, the thing that kind of really gets me is the training program focused on respect and appropriate conduct in the workplace. If you don't think that he's rolling his eyes through that entire program, I mean, you just don't know people like him.
Or not even yes. Or let's even talk about just no training program is
Yeah,
going to change who you are if you're embedded like that as an individual.
yeah,
No training is going to change who you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Like
And to be
nothing.
honest with you, based on this punishment, I don't even know how intense that training is going to be.
Right.
It could just be like him hanging out in an office or something for like half an hour
Right.
twice a week or
Or
something like
going to
that.
some
Like,
meeting and fake signing his name and leaving.
yeah. Yeah, you go to a meeting with like an open bar and you sign your name at the end of it, like what who knows what it looks like.
Right.
I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to be some great experience for him where he finds his humanity and learns how to become a better person. Like it just
Exactly.
doesn't really seem to kind of carry with how the NBA has approached the rest of the situation. So probably the thing that pisses him off the most is the $10 million fine, which again, it's not that 10 million is like so much to him. I think his net worth is and Andy, if you're able to look it up and correct me, that's fine, but it probably doesn't even matter. Something like 80 million, no, 800 million or something like that. But like regardless, like it's money that he's going to be able to make back easily if he's able to continue owning this team.
Yes, specifically right now when they're at the point where they're a contender in the West.
They said 800 million. That's just like a
Yeah,
from some
800 million.
site, but
Yeah, well, sure. Like 800 million, like 10 and that's not including, revolving income that's coming in for him. Obviously, he's not just an NBA owner. 10 million, it's like it's an annoyance. He'll definitely live and get over that. He's not hurting for cash now. But the reason why I think it's the biggest annoyance is kind of just everything we've already talked about. The training program, I have no faith is really even legitimate, anything more than a slap on the wrist. The suspension, we talked about all the different ways that he can still act without physically acting, and like there's going to be meetings between he and other members of the Suns organization where he's effectively telling them how to run the day to day, basically, I'm sure. Or if not the day to day, the big picture at the very least. So, it's really, it feels like next to nothing. I'm going to be
And
flat
on top
honest
of
with
that, the
you.
fact that he is saying that, or him and his internal circle are saying that they don't even think they should get any punishment. That's
Yes,
another
exactly.
like slap in the face.
Exactly. And, you see certain other things kind of come out and people trying to defend his actions. There was one I'm going to pull it up here. There was one uh quote bit written, whatever the case may be, that discusses the key findings and everything like that. Actually, it may have even been in a report written by um Baxter, but basically what it says is that the investigation made no finding that any of his workplace misconduct was motivated by racial or gender-based animus. So, according to this report, there was no finding of he said these racist things. He said and did these um, misogynistic, sexually inappropriate things, inappropriately gender-based things. Um, but there was no ill intent behind it. So it's like, no, I did these things, but like I didn't mean anything by it,
Right.
and it's like that's
Right.
the stupidest argument that I've ever heard. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like you cannot tell me you read some of this stuff in this whole report, and you're talking about all like the pelvic action he's doing with the guys in the workplace, and it's like
Yep.
this is like highly inappropriate things, like phrasing things like. All right, so we're going to talk more about Donald Sterling in just a second, but when you look at the Donald Sterling case, specifically the recording, like you can hear the hatred
Mm-hmm.
in what he's saying. It is not exactly like that, and perhaps that's what this report is trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Either way,
It's
that report's wrong because the whole point of it is that there is a lack of care and consideration by doing these things in the first place.
yep.
So I don't understand why that that little tagline of defense for Sarver needs to be in there at all because, there's no defense for
It's like
this.
they want to differentiate between the two because they
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like one
Well,
is
and perhaps with the ulterior motive of then having a reason for why he doesn't have to sell the team.
right, right. Which right now everybody's calling for the sell of a team. Right now, I know today, Reverend Al Sharpton spoke on it today, and I mean, he gonna speak up on anything like this. But he spoke up, and he's saying they want, he's calling on the specific owners of the team to force him to sell, like,
As they
and
should.
and they should. And then it's like, don't get me started on like owners and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
specifically like NFL owners too. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like, you got to do business with this guy. Like, it just makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, y'all should force him out at the end of the day.
Yeah. I
You know
mean,
what I
even if
mean?
you don't give, two craps about what he did from a human standpoint, like it's bad business to let him stay in the league. So
It is. It is. It's very
like
bad business.
the most important thing should be the fact that this is disgusting and he has no place in the NBA. However, for those who may not care in the ownership group, or rather, the NBA ownership committee, at the very least, it's bad business. So if that's all you care about is business, then you should still want him out. There's no reason to want him to stay with the Suns.
Exactly.
There's just not.
And I'm waiting to hear things from the current Suns players. Like, do you think they're going to say anything?
Yeah. I think the organization reached out to them immediately, as far as not limiting them from speaking, but wanting to go through. And this is just my assumption. So we have here an official statement from the Suns. Obviously, it's in that tweet, that retweet there, but I actually haven't seen this statement yet. So I'm just going to read this real quick. This is an official statement from the Phoenix Suns, or rather Suns Legacy Partners LLC. That is the sports and entertainment entity that manages and operates the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury as well. So Suns Legacy Partners is committed to creating a safe and respectful and inclusive work environment that is free of discrimination and harassment, as the NBA acknowledged. Forgive me. We fully cooperated with the NBA's investigation, which covered an 18-year period, including by encouraging current and former employees to participate. The NBA's findings concerning the organization's focus, for the most part, on historical matters that have been addressed in recent years, including through meaningful enhancements to our workplace compliance program. At the direction of senior leadership, forgive me, I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm probably too heated about this thing. We have strengthened our culture and focused on creating a workplace where everyone feels included and valued. These efforts include hiring new HR leadership, updating our, I see you shaking your head, absolutely, Justin, updating our employee handbook to clearly define. This is laughable. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I can't even get through this entire thing. Like,
the fact that you have to update
your owner.
You have to update your employee handbook and hire new
You're talking about your owner.
But honestly, he probably made that shit a toxic environment anyway.
You're talking about, your employer making like oral jokes like in the middle of meetings, and you're like, oh, well, it wasn't in the company handbook. We've updated it. Now it's in there. Now we know. We didn't know before. It wasn't in the handbook. Now we know. So we've updated that. So you're good. So no, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then the funniest thing to me, is it's near the end. I think it's the second to last paragraph, is when they say Robert Sarver is also taking responsibility for his actions. No, he's not.
He doesn't. He didn't think this
should happen. He didn't think he did anything wrong.
Right.
He's being taking the suspension because he understands that there's no possible way to fight that. And the only possible way based on how the NBA played this, that he can possibly continue at all is by just falling in line right now.
Mhm.
I hope that he's not allowed to continue to own the team. However, I can't say for certain that that's going to be the case, just knowing where importance lies for a lot of people.
And I wonder if PayPal, who is in partnership with the
Yeah,
Suns, if they're going to continue their partnership
no, they
with the
should
Suns.
immediately cancel that partnership. Like, I mean, I don't know what the contract looks like, but
Yeah.
like if there's a way out, they should. And so the tweet here that that Andy did share as well, that basically retweeted that statement from the Phoenix Suns. Sun players need to do their part and boycott the team. Get rid of that owner. Take back the power. So, as far as the Sun players doing their part, I 150% agree. Justin, like you said, as far as them needing to speak up, like blow the hell out of that whistle. Like, if you any more dirt you have, absolutely bring it out. As far as what's already out there, lambast him for every single thing that he said, because he absolutely deserves it. This is a disgusting occurrence that should not be a part. It shouldn't be a part of the league. It shouldn't be a part of any workplace. It should not be a part of society. Like, there is no place where that is. What you go down the laundry list of what was found in that report where any of that's okay. So, as far as why they haven't spoken up yet, excuse me, I do wonder if the team was very forward about, hey, we need to work with PR before we say anything about this. But I would love to hear from some players soon. I'd love to hear Chris Paul speak.
That's what I'm saying. He's the president of the Players Association, I
Yes.
believe, still currently. Like he has to.
Did CJ McCollum take that over?
He might have actually, but he like
But
Chris
still,
Paul is
former
still in
president, one of the most well-known players in the entire league.
right. Still has power.
Yeah.
Still has a lot of power as a player.
Yeah.
So like I'm very like I definitely want to hear from Chris Paul.
Well, and not only that, but he like he was a part of the Donald Sterling situation. And when I say
Exactly.
a part, I mean associated with the Clippers.
Yes.
But when did let's see, 20, so May 19th, that's when the official charge came. Well, actually, no, let's go back further. So let's talk about Donald Sterling for a little bit and give him the only airtime that we will ever give to that cretin. April 25th, 2014. So Donald Sterling, the audio is leaked by TMZ.
Yep.
We've talked a little bit, as much as I want to, about what was actually said on it. Just horrific, inexcusable things were said. So April 29th, Adam Silver bans Sterling for life.
Mind you, that was Adam Silver had just became.
He had to. Adam Silver is nothing if not tactical. Like, he knew he had to make a
he just became the commissioner that year. Like that year, he just became the commissioner. It's like, yo, what you gonna do, man?
Yeah. So he bans him for life, right? After that, calls for the I'm sorry. Is that a maximum fine of 2.5 million? That's insanely low.
Yeah.
Disappointing, but at least Sterling was banned for life, as he should have been.
And
Called for sale to Clippers May
Yep.
19th. NBA submits official charge for Sterling to sell the team. May 29th, Clippers sold for $2 billion to Steve Ballmer. All right, so all this happened while Chris Paul was a part of the LA Clippers. That is such a unique perspective from him, to be going through something such as this, not once as a player, but now twice. I want to hear what he has to say on the matter. When you get down to, I would gladly listen to any player, any coach, anyone from the Phoenix Suns, Phoenix Mercury organization, what they have to say on the matter. But Chris Paul in particular absolutely stands out as someone who I would want to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely. And Looks like Bismack Biyombo, who's a current son, is the
Yeah.
VP of the NBA PA. So
Oh, yeah.
so it's just like I don't know. It's just like I don't think the punishment was enough. I can't harp on
Yeah.
I can't harp on it enough to say like Adam Silver dropped the ball on this. I really do believe he dropped
Yeah.
the ball on this. I mean, he can't. There's more evidence out there, clearly, but maybe hearsay or maybe people don't want to go on
Yeah.
record. Like,
Yeah.
that's where it comes down to because people may be scared to be officially on record, right? Because then when you go,
Yeah, especially if you think about, some of the coaches, some of the lower level roster players,
mhm.
people in the in any capacity with the team other than the stars. Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying there.
So that's why I was just like, maybe that's why, the findings weren't, as clear as we all know them to be.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everybody knows what he did, and he needs to definitely sell the team.
Yeah.
Honestly, unless the NBA forces him or the other owners come together to try to say, "Hey, you got to sell," I don't think he's going to sell. And tons of people
Yeah.
still going to be at Suns games, and
Yeah.
it is
Well,
what it is.
it the responsibility shouldn't be on the players, but what would really, I think, go a long way is some joint statement between Chris Paul, Bismack Biyombo, as you mentioned, current VP of the NBA PA, Skylar Diggins, um, and I think that also Diana Taurasi also Brittany Griner.
Yo,
We
this
first of
got me
all
thinking a
we
whole
got to
bunch of stuff, yo.
people got to keep talking about that first of all, Brittany Griner. But that being said, like the minute she's back on U.S. soil, I would love to hear everything she has to say about this. Also,
Because that
um,
also makes me think about, does he even really care about Brittany Griner? You see how everybody's pushing to help get her all, like, it just makes me wonder.
yeah, I
Like the
know,
WNBA, of course, right? The WNBA, of course, has made it a statement, a mission,
sure,
right, to really put her out front.
yeah.
But I just wonder how Sarver feels. Probably
I
like, I don't care about
I
that
really
girl.
don't think he cares, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I haven't seen anything here to make me think that he cares.
yeah.
I don't. I haven't seen anything here to make me think that he cares about a whole lot else other than himself. You know, it's just it's disappointing. I think what's even more disappointing is, um, I think it's fair to say that the majority of people are vocally, the best way to put it, I guess I would suppose, vocally taking a stand against him. Right,
Hmm.
the majority of people are. However, as is always the case on platforms like Twitter and the such, there is also a party of people who are suggesting that the punishment was too rich, suggesting that this is some type of woke movement, something like that, which is beyond ludicrous,
Yes.
frankly. So it's just it's a Phoenix Suns problem. It's a Phoenix Mercury problem. It's an NBA problem, WNBA problem. It is a societal problem.
Hmm.
This is a problem not just with the league. This is bigger than the league.
Hmm.
This is something that cannot be allowed to continue. This is something that the league needs to do a better job of standing up against. It shouldn't come to having to have these players come out and speak once again. It
Right.
shouldn't have to come to ownership, different owners of different teams coming together to try and force Sarver to sell the team. This should be handled by the NBA. Adam Silver should have the same guts that he had against Donald Sterling. You know, what what happened to that? Was that a mistake? Because why aren't we doing that in this case as well? Because
Right.
again, this is the kind of stuff that is just unacceptable on any level. This is this is fireable as any offense, that can be. This is ban worthy stuff that Robert Sarver has
Literally, In the
Done.
report, it says that more than 70 former and current Suns employees described the
Yeah.
toxic work environment led by Sarver.
Yeah.
70. 7-0.
Yeah.
And this is
It's
the only thing we get?
It's ludicrous. I mean, there's no excuse for it. NBA looks very bad after this. They look very weak after this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good look for the NBA. I feel for everyone in the greater Phoenix Suns, Phoenix Mercury organization, fans of Phoenix, those personally affected, obviously, more than anyone else, to have certain things said or done to you, and then to see such a slap on the wrist be the result because of who they are. I can't even imagine how frustrating
Right.
and awful that is. So Robert Sarver does not have a friend in the baseline scoop.
For
Sell the
sure.
team. Just get the hell out of Dodge and stay there. So
Yeah.
that's all I have to say on it. Justin, do you have any last minute or anything else that you want to say on this matter, or how the NBA has failed the league and a whole lot more as well?
Just I expected better of Adam Silver. I honestly
Mm.
did. It's a disappointment. Worried about a damn midseason tournament, but you got this investigation here where you could have definitely had a way better ruling. So just disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm never surprised at like stuff like this.
It happens all
Just
too
because I
often to be
know,
surprised anymore.
yeah, like you're not supposed to, but what happens in the dark normally comes to the light. So,
Sure.
you know, I'm glad it's out and everybody sees what type of man he is, but I'm just disappointed in Adam Silver.
Yeah. One more thing I did want to I want to actually shout out Earl Watson. We mentioned Earl, but it took so much bravery and so much courage to do what he did.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about why some people may not be so willing to come forward about stuff
Mm-hmm.
like this because thinking about the repercussions, everything like that. Earl Watson, he knew right from wrong, and not that it's always that easy to speak up in situations
Mm-hmm.
like that, because it's hard. It's damn hard.
Yeah.
But good for him for doing that, and he should be immensely proud, because I truly feel that him coming forward was a huge mark in getting even this far.
Yep.
And it
And
didn't go far enough, but even getting this far, a lot of
I
that
think
thanks
the
to Earl
Toronto
Watson.
Raptors supported him for that because he's a coach for the Toronto Raptors right now.
Mhm.
So sure they supported him for that. And Masai Ujiri, I know he's just the president of basketball ops, but he has a large hand in that organization, and I'm sure he
Mhm.
just gave him comfort, like, listen, we got your back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
definitely props to Earl Watson for sure.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully there's more to come out about this, and hopefully that is a decision, whether by the NBA or whomever, to push for him to sell the team. But for now, we apologize for the no, we don't really apologize. We hope to have a happier episode in the future, but this was a very important matter.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to talk about this. We needed to talk about this. Everyone needs to talk about this, because conversation creates change.
Yep.
And that is the platform that we have. That is how we hope to help. And I advise everyone to do the same. More conversation. That's how we create change. Exactly. Okay. So
Yep.
thank you so much for listening. Next time on the Baseline Scoop, we will be, if all goes according to plan, returning to Sixers content as we approach the regular season. But for now, this has been Zach Chavalella here with Justin Crosby, and we just hit you with the Baseline Scoop.
Peace.
It's 89-84. Sixers, and they get inside.